Great. So we're sitting in our Quonset hut up in Barrow, Alaska here, and we've got our team sitting around the table. I'm Kevin Hand, to my right. We've got our engineering team that the masterminds behind building this under ice rover that you'll see. And our, hang on, just and current call. Sorry, somebody else at JPL was trying to call me.
Tell them you're busy.
So, part of the exactly declined. Part of what we're studying up here, I'm getting feedback, guys. There we go. So the North Slope of Alaska is a great place to bring together both earth science and planetary science. On the one hand, we're building tools and technologies that are sort of the precursors for what we might one day send out to a world like Europa or Enceladus, these worlds that are covered in ice, beneath which we have very good reason to believe vast liquid water oceans exist. We think that Europa itself might be habitable today. We have good reason to believe that it's got a global 100-kilometer deep liquid water ocean. And up here in Alaska, we've got some 10,000 or so lakes that freeze over every year. And part of what we're looking at is the methane seeping out of that permafrost, which then gets trapped under the ice. And these lakes are very shallow, and so a submersible doesn't really make sense. But what we came up with is this idea of a under ice rover that's buoyant and essentially grows on the underside of the ice as if it was a normal JPL rover except flipped upside down. So what you'll see in the pictures and video.
Yeah, we showed them some of the still pictures, and now we're going to play this video, which I believe was taken on the previous trip. And it's showing the rover going in. The video from the previous trip
was on a tether, and I'll ask the guys here to describe what we're going to do today, because it really is quite extraordinary if everything works. And so the footage from the buoyant rover, and you saw the new version of the buoyant rover in that first picture with the light beam on and everything. That was when we were in the field. Today is the full-up test, and Don, Andy, and Dan, you want to describe what's going to happen today if everything goes well?
And I'll point out that what they just saw in the video were those methane bubbles coming up. And then you want to tell them a little bit about the dangers with that methane in your lakes there, because that shot's going to come up here pretty soon.
The methane bubbles maintain very thin ice because it keeps the water from freezing. And so when we're out there walking around, we have to be very careful that we don't break through and get wet. As you can see, we can tell that it's methane in a small part by lighting it on fire. Thankfully, it doesn't just catch on fire without a spark. So the danger of us burning ourselves is not that high. The bigger risk is breaking through the ice. So guys, why don't you describe the run that's going to happen today?
Sure, so today, when we deploy the rover, we're going to be going wireless for the first time. So we've
introduce yourself.
I'm John Leakey, mechanical engineer at JPL. So we're going to be operating the rover wirelessly for the first time. Sending commands from a tough-book laptop that we can't help, and hopefully getting images back and driving around underneath the ice. And then if that all goes well, we've got another wireless link through a satellite that will actually lead the rover out there on the ice or underneath the ice, come back here to the warmth of our hut, and operate over a satellite link all the way out to the bottom of the lake.
My name is Danny Klesch. I'm also an engineer at JPL. The rover that we're deploying under the ice here today and then into tonight is really a new generation of this design. It's going to be simulating as best we can operations in a remote environment, whether it's here on Earth or hopefully someday with the delayed operations at Europa. image delay. We'll send very small movements, wait for the data to get to the rover. It will move a few meters at a time, and then we'll get the image back and have to look at what the new environment is and then be able to alter that. The environment that we're in up here is quite hostile. Today we're noticing the wind chill is quite below zero. And so we're looking forward to being able to operate it in the comfort of the hut as opposed to being out in the field. And something that in the future we'd like to see and deploy for multiple days to weeks at a time under the ice, enabling a new capability for scientists to really look at the environment from, say, the comfort of their home, wherever it is on Earth, since we're controlled via satellite.
Yes, this is Dan Beresford. I'm the third member of the engineering team at JPL. And this methodology of controlling a rover in steps like this is sort of the classic way that JPL drives rovers on Mars. You know, since there's such a long delay, the speed of light to travel from here to a remote planet, you know, it's like 7 minutes for Mars, and we're looking at 40 minutes for Europa. And so there's a little bit of autonomy and a lot of waits where you transmit a command to the rover and you say, okay, move forward to so-and-so waypoint. You get an image back, you get data back from your various instruments, and then you send the next command. And then, of course, the next step from that is to have the rover be smart and operate autonomously on its own. So that'll be next year.
And so right now the rover is equipped with a basic science payload that'll measure temperature, pressure, conductivity, methane, and oxygen, and it'll tic-tac back and forth and get those measurements in the water column while also investigating the bubbles. So in theory, what we would love to do is have a rover that we can just come up here in the fall and leave up here for the full winter season as the lakes freeze over and as the ice gets thicker. And these rovers can be just left to map out what's happening in these lakes and quantify the amount of methane and other gases that are seeping out. And those numbers then feed into our Earth science models for climate change. So again, this is a precursor technology for exploring elsewhere in our solar system, while simultaneously enabling measurements that are important to Earth science. And if all goes well today, we'll be back in our hut later tonight operating the rover, but we may also call down to a colleague at JPL who can operate the rover from JPL. Andy and John and Dan have configured this system so it's actually operable over the internet. And so, in theory, if it works, any of you could log in and control this rover that's under the ice in Alaska. Now, we're not going to let you do that this time. Maybe sometime in the future, that's something we'll be able to do.
That's fantastic. I know you guys have to go back to work. You said you needed to be done by about 9:55, so I just want to thank you so much, Kevin, and everyone on your team for calling in.